What's up everybody? Before we start today, I wanted to thank you guys for watching, liking, commenting, and or subscribing. We recently hit 2,000 subscribers and we're rapidly approaching 3K, so just wanted to say I appreciate the support from every single one of you. Now let's get into the video. Alright, so first things first, I'm not going to go super in-depth on the general tree. Reason being, I don't have a deep understanding on how the talent changes here can affect frost or fire. And then on top of that, the changes here can also affect PvP as well, so I'm just not qualified to give a ton of feedback on the general tree. What I will say though is that at a minimum, the spec defensives need to be more consistent across the trees. Currently we have greater invis on the general tree and cold snap and cauterize on the spec trees. This should be changed to have either all three on the general tree or all three on the spec trees. I think this would help to level the playing field a bit more across the specs defensive wise, as right now Arcane in its best case scenario will just have greater invis, like always, but Frost and Fire will have their respective defensive plus greater invis on top of it. Now, I'm sure some people will say that Fire also got Dragon's Breath put onto the general tree, and well, Frost didn't really give up anything, but even just in the case of Dragon's Breath, that's still not a fair trade in my opinion. I think this fix is a no-brainer change, and this is honestly my biggest gripe with the mage talent trees in general, so really hoping to see this fixed. Now let's move on to the Arcane Tree feedback. So the first major change I'd like to see is for Slipstream to become as accessible as Arcane Orb. Currently, every single build on the tree specs heavily into missiles. Kyrian, Gemtheron, or Barrage will always spec fully into Clearcasting and Arcane Harmony. This increases the need for Slipstream, except it's blocked off by two Arcane Blast buffing talents in Nether Precision and Impetus. In my opinion, Slipstream makes Clearcasting procs feel amazing and adds so much fluidity to the spec. I propose to swap Slipstream with Impetus. This would make going down the right side of the tree feel much more natural, as each node continuously adds some kind of new aspect to Arcane missiles. Moving on to Arcane Surge, currently its direct damage is not benefiting from its own increased spell damage buff, nor is it benefiting from the Rune of Power that it puts down, so I'm not sure if that's intended or just a bug, but it would be cool to see it work better with the other talents it interacts with. Next up, I'd like to see the Rule of Threes and Arcane Familiar choice node either made more impactful or just completely removed. Rule of Threes is a DPS loss because it stops us from spending mana, which stops us from being able to generate Clearcasting procs, and on the other hand, Arcane Familiar creates no change at all to the rotation. It's just a boring fire and forget button, so either make the node more impactful or just remove it. And if we decide to remove it, we can also remove Impetus on the right side of the tree, and that'll keep it symmetrical, so this would be a pretty easy solution. Next up, for the Nether Tempest and Reverberate choice node, I think both of these spells can be changed to be a bit more interesting. Reverberate should be a 100% chance, or be reworked to cause a second, weaker Arcane Explosion that would still generate an Arcane Charge. As for Nether Tempest, it should lose its one target limit and be changed to be a multi-dotting spread cleave option for Arcane. Alternatively, it could be reworked to allow for a 3-target limit, and when we cast Arcane Missiles, they would spread to any targets with Nether Tempest, similar to Havoc for Destrolox. Finally, I'd like to talk about the Mana Gem and Cascading Power nodes. The nodes themselves are fine, they have a spot in the Gemtheor build and it's pretty much perfect, except for the actual Mana Gem itself. The Mana Gem has a 2-minute cooldown which currently doesn't line up with any cooldown in any build. Now, if you guys remember, Evocation was also a 2-minute cooldown before getting changed to better flow with Arcane's 45/90 second cooldown windows. This means there is precedent in making changes in favor of Arcane's cadence, so I would like to see this change be applied to the Mana Gem itself as well. And that's pretty much it. If there's anything else you'd like to add onto the feedback, let me know down in the comments. Who knows, maybe someone at Blizzard will see it and agree with you, and at the very least, if you do have beta access, you can also create a post on the Mage Tree feedback forum, which I'll have linked in the description. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you're interested in all the latest Arcane Mage content, and I'll catch you in the next video.